Warning, this video contains quirky rambling. Please do not operate anything, as this video may induce heavy drowsiness and or wild frustration. If you experience any of these side effects, well, I warned you.
Here we go. I don't know what I'm going to say about this book. And what are we talking about here? These books, damn it. Oh my God, I cannot talk today. Ugh. Oh my God, nonsense. Always the nonsense. September or oh God, get the month straight, Dina. It's October, not August. It's October. Costanza. Can't stand ya. Hey everybody, welcome back to Books Yada Yada. I'm Dina and thank you so much for watching my channel. So today what we're doing is my October mid-month wrap-up already, you guys. What the frick? I mean, where did it go, right? So on my TBR, I didn't have a lot, right? I had what I called a very doable TBR for me. Again, and I've explained this before in so many of my other videos, that I have set myself up for monumental failure when it comes to reading, because I'm like, oh, I'm going to read 20 books this month like a crazy person, because I am bananas, and it just, it happens because I always commit to it, but then I just burn myself out completely. So this month I decided, and last month too, I decided, you know what, I am just going to read the books that I really, really want to read, and we're going to go basically week to week with the books, as opposed to going, here's the 15 books I read this month. So I'm not doing that. So I'm going to spare you guys all of that, right? Because I love you and I want you to keep watching my channel. Anyway, the first book I want to talk about is a book called The Vanishing by Wendy Webb. Okay, now she has written other books. This is the first book I've read by her. She's considered what's called Northern Gothic, and I have never heard that expression before, but I guess it's something fairly new, where Northern Gothic, Northern gossip, yeah, well, I'm sure there's gossip that goes on in the Northern Hemisphere. Northern applies to the northern part of the United States. So Northern Gothic is basically books that are written with a setting along in her book, northern part of Minnesota, along the Canadian border. So that is where this book took place, okay? I loved this book. I'm going to say that right off the bat. I'm not going to review it to like death. What I'm going to say about the book is that follows a woman named Julia Bishop, whose life just crumbled basically because her husband was part of a big Ponzi scheme, and everything around her just went crumbling down. When he got caught, he got sent to jail. He basically screwed friends, family, all kinds of people out of tons and tons of money, millions and millions of dollars. He gets sent off to prison, so she's left all alone. She has no family, no friends anymore. So this stranger one day shows up at her door. As so often these things happen, right? And his name is Adrian Sinclair. And he has an opportunity of a lifetime for her. Now she's just, going through this horrible experience of having nothing. She is just completely down on her luck and feels like, what is she going to do, right? Where is she going to go?
What did I do?
He has this opportunity for her, and that is to come and live with his mother at this beautiful mansion. You guys can see the glare, that darn glare. This mansion called Havenwood, okay, which is in a very remote area, again, in the border of Minnesota, Canada-Minnesota border. And so he asks her to come and stay with them and be his mother's companion. She's like, what? Like, where did this guy come from, right? Like anybody would be, She gives it some thought, which I appreciated, because in a lot of these books, the characters just like, they just don't even think about it. They just jump at the chance, right? She was smart. I like Julia's character because she really gave it some good thinking before she decided to say yes and be a part of the staff at Havenwood. So it basically solves all of her problems, right? So she goes to Havenwood, and of course, what happens is, and I mentioned that this book followed in my last video that it was a book that follows all the standard tropes, but you still love it. And it did that. So she's isolated out in the middle of nowhere. She's seeing things, she's hearing things. But the cool part about this book, which I really liked, and it kind of flipped some tropes on like I said before in my other video, on their heads, is that everybody else in this house in Havenwood knows about the ghosts. They actually tell her, because she's doubting herself, and she's saying like am I really seeing seeing this stuff? And they're like, yeah, you're seeing it, it's real, this place is haunted. She's like, great. She starts exploring the mansion, and the more she explores the mansion, and I got to show you this because I love any book that has a floor plan, right? So it tells you where she's going. And basically, if you read this book, when she starts talking about the East Salon, that's where things start to get really freaky. This woman is just, trying to forget her past and start a new life, and she really is loving it at Havenwood, because the mother, her name is Amaris Sinclair, and I love how Wendy Webb describes this woman. She was a horror novelist who years ago just dropped off the face of the earth, basically. And you will find out the reason why when you read this book. The way Wendy Webb describes Amara Sinclair as Barbara Stanwyck. And I loved that, because those of you who know or remember Barbara Stanwyck, I remember her most from The Big Valley. So Barbara Stanwyck was just this really strong, sassy, and I said it. I loved Amaris Sinclair's character in this book. She's just a really strong older woman who is still with it, and has gone through some crazy stuff living at Havenwood. There is an emotional component that attaches all of these people to Havenwood, and that is why they stay there. So there's a little bit of romance, not anything where you're like, oh, you know what I mean? Because I can't stand romance. It's filled with that atmosphere, that feeling of like, are these people crazy? Are they holding her hostage? What's going on exactly at Havenwood? Wendy Webb does an excellent job at the different plot points, the different plot twists. She does a great job with the characters. There's not a ton of characters. This is told in one point of view, in Julia's point of view. So you're not getting lost in too many different storylines. Straightforward book, and it was just an easy read. Like I said before, it was like my warm bath, cozy kind of read. So another thing that I really enjoyed, I'm just going to mention really quick about Wendy Webb, is that I had read a review on this book after I read the book, because I don't really like to read reviews before I read the book. I think it just kind of ruins it for me when that happens. In her acknowledgments, because another reviewer had mentioned this, I had a great time writing The Vanishing, and I hope you had a great time reading it. And then she goes on to say, that's really what it's all about for me. With my novels, I'm not trying to define a generation, right any great wrongs, or change the way you think about the world or your place in it. I just want to craft a good story that will delight you, entertain you, grab you, and not let you go, and send some shivers up your spine along the way. So I really like that she wrote that. That told me a lot about her as a writer, and her character as a person. She's not the kind of writer that, is just aiming to, be on the New York Times bestseller list, right? She just wants to write books that entertain people, give you that, a little bit of a ghosty feel, and again, like she said, send some shivers up your spine, and then it does that. It accomplishes that. So this was a really good book. I would highly suggest it. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, just because, it wasn't the kind of book that is going to intellectually stimulate you at all. It was a very easy read. And you know what? Have not been in the mood to be intellectually stimulated at all. And you guys know that watching this channel, you're not going to be intellectually stimulated at all either.
Are you stupid or something?
So this was right up my alley. The Vanishing, Wendy Webb, great book. Pick it up. The next book is In the Clearing by J.P. Pomare. In my TBR, I explained I had listened to an Audible original that he did quite a while ago. I would say, I think back in May or June or something like that. And I loved it. It was only like a 6-hour listen. He's an Australian writer, so the narration was by an Australian woman. And I loved that because who doesn't love a great Australian accent, right? Just the way I love a good British, Irish, Scottish, UK, whatever accent, expertly narrated. So this book is his latest book, just came out, I believe, in August. And I was just kind of like chomping at the bit to get my hands on another J.P. Pomare book. So this book is about a religious cult, basically, and it follows the story of a woman named Freya. Don't really know what's going on with her. She has a very detached sense of herself and the way she looks at the world. It's a lot of talking about Freya and how Freya is just trying to fit into society, sort of wearing this mask. She is a yoga instructor. She has a son. The father, we don't really know too much about him until a little bit later on in the book. But all we know is that has had some sort of connection to a religious cult. So as you get deeper into the book, you realize that she was actually raised in this cult. This religious cult, though, was way more intense than the one that I grew up in. So you're getting two different point of views. So you're getting Freya's point of view, and then you're getting a girl named Amy's point of view. This is a really difficult book to not spoil, okay? So I'm not going to get into the details too much. You're going back between Freya's point of view and Amy's point of view. And Amy is in the cult, okay? So you're getting her sort of side of the story. She's 15 years old, I believe. Basically, you're going back just trying to figure out what the heck is going on. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I really could not get into this book. I could not invest in Freya's character. I definitely invested in Amy's character a little bit more. Freya was she was too detached from the story, if you want my honest opinion. It wasn't an awful book. Maybe I'm a little biased because I was raised in a religious cult, so I understand it a little bit more than someone who hasn't been raised that way. And it wasn't like I was wanting anything more from the book. It just was a little boring and it kind of dragged on. But what I did find out, which was kind of interesting, was that, and this of course was after I read the book, like usual, but I think that J.P. Pomare wants you to find this out after you read the book. This was based on a actual event that happened in Australia, I believe in the 60s, with a religious cult called the Family. So those of you who I know I have some Australian subscribers out there, might be familiar with the case of the Family. And so the book is basically talking about a woman named Anne Hamilton Bird, who was the leader of this cult called the Family. And so after reading that, I realized, like, oh, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. It talks about this cult and their specific rites of passage and all the different things that went on in this cult. So again, loosely, it's fiction, loosely based on this story of this religious cult, but you have people who were from all walks of life that were involved with this cult that nobody knew about. They were very secretive about their membership. So there's a lot of things about this book that make more sense once you realize that it's based on the family. A lot of things happen to Freya. She has a son. This cult is trying to get to her son. People reappear from her past that she's been trying so hard to escape from. I know that was a real messy review. Even though going back knowing what I know now about it and what it was based on, I still felt like it was a little too dry. I won't stop reading J.P. Pomare because he is a very talented writer. There's so much you can do with a religious cult, you guys. I mean, there's so much. Trust me, I know. So In the Clearing, J.P. Pomare, not too bad, but not that great either. Okay, so next book, The Wives by Tarryn Fisher. I've read a few other of Tarryn Fisher's books, and I've actually really, really liked them because she writes very strong, kind of grunged girls, you know what I mean? A lot of angsty women, and I love that. Really, really strong women. So for time's sake, because this is taking way too long, I am going to read the synopsis of the book, and then I'm going to go from there. Imagine that your husband has 2 other wives. You've never met the other wives. None of you know each other. And because of this unconventional arrangement, you can see your husband only 1 day a week. But you love him so much you don't care, or at least that's what you've told yourself. But one day, while you're doing laundry, you find a scrap of paper in his pocket, an appointment reminder for a woman named Hannah, and you just know it's another one of the wives. You thought you were fine with your arrangement, but you can't help yourself. You track her down, and under false pretenses, you strike up a friendship. Hannah has no idea who you really are. Then Hannah starts showing up to your coffee dates with telltale bruises, and you realize she's being abused by her husband, who, of course, is also your husband. But you've never known him to be violent, ever. Who exactly is your husband, and how far would you be willing to go to find out? And who is his mysterious third wife? I really enjoyed this book. This was one of those crazy rides where you're like, what is going on? Tarryn Fisher has a way of writing that just she's not a rambler myself. She doesn't go on and on with, all of these different point of views, and doesn't, she definitely gives you some twists and turns, but she doesn't overkill it, which I appreciate because that can get really confusing, So in this book, you have this woman who doesn't have a name. I don't believe. I read this a couple of weeks ago, and I've already forgotten, you guys. That's why I have to do these mid-month wrap-ups, because if I don't do a review right after I read the book, I forget so many things, right? So you have Thursday is the one who is narrating. That's the point of view you're getting. And she starts to find out that she knows of this other wife that she shares her husband with, who lives in another state, right? This takes place in Seattle, and I believe the other wife lives in Portland, Oregon. She knows that this is happening, and she's okay with it. Like, she's perfectly fine with it. They're happy. The husband in the book is a total dick, and you wonder why. He's not a dick to her, but you find out later he's a dick. So you're on this crazy ride with her, and she starts finding out all of these little details, right? Like the receipt, different things that are leading her to find out that there might be more than a second wife. There might be a third wife. There might be a fourth wife. We don't know. So she does just what I read to you in the synopsis. She goes and she tracks down this Hannah and actually strikes up a friendship with her. Hannah has no clue about Thursday, but Thursday knows all about Hannah. Hannah actually has a child. And so Thursday starts to wonder, okay, this is just all too much. I can't take like another wife in the picture. She's kind of going out of her mind, trying to put the pieces together, really find out exactly who her husband is and what his story is, because he's hiding a lot of information. And there is that trope, crazy paranoia starts to happen, and it's all in her head. She making it up. I'm not going to give away too much, but there's definitely that element of people are trying to make her think she's losing it. But is she or isn't she? The ending of this book will throw you for a loop for sure. That's all I'm going to say. I loved the ending. I loved the ending of this book because it was just not what I was expecting at all. What? It was a little on the open-ended side, which I like because it just leaves it up to your own imagination. I actually really enjoyed this book. Definitely wasn't a 5-star book, but I've been reading a lot of duds lately. So this was definitely refreshing. Let me just put it that way. It was not what I have been reading. I had a horrible experience reading a book I was really, looking forward to at the beginning of the month. You guys know all about that.
She hated it.
Yes, and that is my husband, because he had to hear me complain about how much I hated that book. So, poor guy. And I'm not going to go there because I'm not going to put you through that again, because I got really ranty with that one, and I'm not going to do it. So yeah, so that's my mid-month wrap up. I still have a few other things that I have to listen to, a couple of other things on my TBR. So in the meantime, because I'm a mood reader, I will add in bonus books, right? So right now I'm in the middle of, oh crap, the new Grady Hendrix book. It's on my Kindle and I left that downstairs, so I don't have anything in front of me to reference. But I'm halfway through that book and I'm loving it so far, you guys. I've seen so many reviews and so many people, you know, I subscribe to you guys, your channels, you guys, your channels, and a lot of you have read that book or it was on your TBR. So I was like, I really want to check this out because I love Grady Hendrix. I read Horror Store a long time ago when it first came out, and I loved that book. I think he's a really interesting writer, and he just is very unique the way he takes these different stories and kind of puts them in these weird settings and creates these diverse characters. And so this one is about, they describe it as Steel Magnolias, fried green tomatoes meets Dracula amalgam. And it really is like that. It takes place in the 90s. It's hilarious. But anyway, so if you guys have read any of these books, if you've read In the Clearing, if you've read The Vanishing, if you've read The Wives, let me know. Let me know if you're reading or have read Grady Hendrix's book, the Southern Guide or the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, or whatever it is. Let me know if you've read that and what you thought about it without spoiling it, because I'm not done. Any questions you have, please always feel free, comment down below. Let me know what's going on with you guys, because I'd love to hear what's going on with you guys. And yeah, so I bought pumpkins today and some mums for like $4.99. Super cheap, big, beautiful mums at Job Lot, which I don't know if, do you guys have an Ocean State Job Lot where you live? Probably not. I think that's like an northeastern thing. Well, it would be because it's called Ocean State Job Lot. The Ocean State is Rhode Island. So yeah. So I think that job lot probably only exists up here in New England. You might have it at other places. I don't know. Like Bob's, Discount Furniture. But yeah, $4.99 for some beautiful mums and like $2.99 for pumpkins. So I did that today and that was a lot of fun. Is this turning into a reading vlog? The videos I make just kind of turn into a vlog. Not really a reading vlog, but a vlog, because I'm just blurting and I'm fragmented and my thoughts are just completely scattered and all over the place. I'm telling you about what I did today, which was that. So so anyway, you guys, let me know how you're doing and what you're reading right now. And let me know if there's any good TV shows that you're watching. My mouth feels like a disco ball. My lips are so freaking chapped. Oh, the freaking Aquaphor. I've just been putting this, slathering it on my lips constantly. So I know I have like really bright, shiny lips, and I hope that the light isn't glaring off of them.